Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel. You got Bert and Lanny, your two favorite dividend broskies here on YouTube. Yes, on the social platform here, guys. We're talking dividend stocks, dividend growth stocks, but we also talk about possible dividend sells that we want to do as we clean up the portfolio because 2024 definitely seems to be a clean up type of year for both Bert, his wife's portfolio, mine, and my wife's portfolio. But Bert, today, we might be talking about my wife's portfolio and
Ooh,
four stocks that I'm thinking of possibly exiting for her and reinvesting back into current positions.
smash that subscribe button, everybody. Give this video a thumbs up. Let's freaking go. We are always amped up to talk about dividend stocks, dividend moves when we're shaking and baking, bobbing and weaving our way through the portfolio. Can't wait, Lanny, to talk about what's going on with your wife's portfolio, what you're thinking of doing, what stocks you're selling, and what you might be buying with the proceeds. That's always the most fun part of the equation.
Guys, we're talking four stocks again. I've been trying to consolidate the portfolios and hers, just for a quick reference. Remember, I'm down finally in the 60s in my portfolio. In her portfolio, she's sitting at about 34 stocks in her taxable account. So I'm talking four stocks. This would actually bring her down to 30. In total, big $1,627.62 of market value, providing $42 of dividends right now at an average yield, overall yield of 2.58%. So we're going to go through each one of these four stocks, between Bert and I, kind of talk about the market value, talk about the yield, talk about the gain or loss. These are all long-term positions. What the dividend growth has been like in the last year or a couple of years, as well as the 5-year return. And then at the end, we'll kind of capsulate it all into what are some options of the stocks that are in her portfolio that we can move right into.
We can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited from here. There's a very fun fact I learned about one of the stocks that I can't wait to bring it up when we talk about it. Let's jump right in. Are you ready to go through this, Lanny? Are we
Yeah,
ready
let's do
to
it,
start
man. Yeah,
peeling back the layers? Who's
peel back
dividend?
that first layer.
Who's dividend stock number one?
We're talking about jump into the gap, guys. The gap. Banana Republic, the brands that they have, Old Navy, GPS, good ticker symbol right there. Um, Again, not a, they kind of had some weird dividend stuff going on during the pandemic. They did bring back the dividend. There is a 0% growth rate to them, but retail is kind of not the best industry from what I've seen from my experience to be in. Bird, what do you think?
It's tough, man. Retail is it's hard to pick winners. It's hard to pick losers. So much can change. Weren't they big in with Kanye? Is that right? Was
Yeah,
that, yeah?
yeah.
So, like that's why it can be so tough. You tie your brands to people, you tie them to a lot of influencers and just trends that are going on, and just so much can change just like that for the company that can cause the stock price tumbling. It can come out of favor. That's why I'm not really been a big retail investor for that reason.
And again, I'd like to say, even though the net sales, were up the fourth quarter, I think they were down year to date for the gap. My wife's portfolio when we first started out, this is one of her first positions, maybe like her first top 10 positions that she had,
Yes.
because she was buying the stocks. We kind of made a commitment to like, hey, let's buy the stocks for the brands and the things that she, loves, like
Sure.
Starbucks, all those products.
Yeah.
And she used to shop a lot at Banana Republic and, you know, so we owned that stock. So guys, we have about $945 of value, 2.5% yield, produces $24 in dividends. We're sitting in an unrealized gain. Somehow we're squeaking out an unrealized gain of about 54 bucks. Now,
Oh, yeah.
again, no growth in the dividend, and they've been down 3.79% in the last 5 years. So virtually no return.
It's just flat. So it's a good one to put on the chopping block. There's not much of a tax impact on that either. Capital gains on $54. Pretty livable. So let's see. So dividend stock number two.
Same industry.
Yeah, we're staying we're staying in here. Um ticker this will just make I'm laughing because this will make me think of my grandma because my grandma always shopped here. She always loved talking about it. Or when she couldn't drive, I was always the one that when I was always taking her to and from this place on the weekends when she had to
Nice.
return
This
some stuff.
one hits deep for
Yeah, this
Bert.
one hits home. That company, Nordstrom, ticker symbol JW. And why don't you tell us about your wife's position in Nordstrom?
It ended up being a small position, and she has right now $230 of value.
Hmm.
It produces a 4.4% dividend yield or $10 in dividends.
Yeah.
But the unrealized loss, unfortunately, is $291. So she
Ooh.
invested, you can call it about $500 in total, possibly into Nordstrom. Um, Again, we live near Nordstrom. We live near a Nordstrom rack.
Yeah.
So the 5-year overall return on the stock is negative 59%. Plus, there's zero growth, guys. So this is a kind of hits the small position, retail, no dividend growth, and a poor performer.
Yeah, I can see why it's
Yeah,
up there.
smells like
Yeah. I'm also laughing because we always made fun of my mom because she would always call it Nordstrom's. She'd always put an S on there that never existed. So I always thought that one always cracked me up. So happy to see you trying to sell out Nordstrom's from your portfolio.
Mama Burke can call whatever she wants, right?
Yeah, it doesn't mean we can't make fun of her a little bit for this one. All right. So that's
True.
dividend stock number two. We're leaving retail clothing. So we're leaving the clothing sector. Now let's talk differently, Lanny. Who's dividend stock number three?
So number three, and Bert and I, we were talking about the name. The name is Reynolds. Bert's like, wait, didn't you sell that or didn't that get acquired? And he was referring back to Reynolds American, the old tobacco company that I think was acquired 6 or 7 years ago by British Tobacco. I did own Reynolds American. I did get acquired,
Yeah.
and I, did not have the shares. Yeah, I chose to sell versus, grab British Tobacco shares some odd years ago. But we're talking about Reynolds consumer brand, REYN. So your aluminum foil, your other, plastic wrap, your household consumer stock.
Yeah, the little muffin holders, like when you're putting them in there, the little Reynolds ones in there. It's
Yeah,
a great brand. I don't care what you tell me. We'll still buy like the Target brand, the Up and Up. We'll buy the Aldi brand. It doesn't work. It's great. It's cheaper, but it's not the same as Reynolds. This is one of
yeah,
the few.
yeah. You definitely notice a difference
Yeah.
between even the aluminum foil or the plastic wrap. The plastic, it's I don't know what
It's
their
not the same.
patent is.
Yeah, this is one of the rare ones where paying the extra for it, you can tell the substantial difference in quality.
Um,
So, all right.
and similar, this was another small position, just under $250 for my wife. I think at the time we were just kind of shooting darts with some small dollars. $248.28, 3.19% yield, $7.92 in dividends, unrealized gain of $10, and 0% dividend growth plus 5-year returns 1% on the stock.
Interesting. So another flat one, just like Gap.
And it
Interesting.
hasn't been public for 5 years, so it's only been public for I think 3 to 4 years. Somebody could
Yeah.
fact check me there on that.
Yeah, it's worth the roll of the dice. Number four, Lanny. This is the one I was laughing at and I'm smiling. Did you see where this one's headquartered?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I was smiling. I didn't realize this one.
right by me.
Yeah, and right by where I grew up, very close to where that Nordstrom's was that I used to always go to. This, it's
Same city.
yes, Master Brands ticker symbol MBC. I do love my Northeast Ohio stocks. I got to ask you a question on this one, Lanny. Was this a spinoff? How did you acquire shares of this company?
Yeah, this is a spinoff from
Okay.
Fortune Brands. Fortune Brands, they have your Moen, Moen, your
Yeah.
water supplies for your house. They had, the Master lock,
Yeah.
the most popular, lock. So Master Brands is actually, I think, the cabinetry company. So they
Okay.
spun that part off into a separate public entity. So you received shares of Master Brand stock. And guys, what have I told you about spinoffs? If it's not big, usually you should just dump it. Not to say this has been a great performer. Most of the spinoffs that are kind of like the funny ones, you go back to my other video on my portfolio where I owned Knife River Corp.
Yeah.
Like they were performing just fine, but the fact is it doesn't fit the portfolio. Plus, they're small.
It's like
Um,
Corteva. Is that it? How you pronounce it? Like that one's been great. That's been one of the
yeah,
rare spinoffs. A few of them hit.
few of them hit. Master Brands, again, they haven't been public for that long, but $204.25 in equity. So it's like whether it triples in value, it's like $600 could be you know, but 0% yield, $0 in dividends. Somehow there's a $322 gain reported, even though the composition to the market value is very small. I don't know how that's
Some
calculated. Um,
when these split
or
offs happen, who
or
knows how the basis is
oh,
getting.
I see what happened here. Hold on a second. So
Uh-oh.
that's not 204. It trades at 18, not $8 in value. So my
Oh,
spreadsheet's wrong.
oh,
So let me
shady.
just correct myself right here. That's
Lied.
$459 in value. So you guys, we're getting an update here on the spot. So that
Woohoo.
jumped up a lot when the total value here. So that was a nice typo on my part. So $322 unrealized gain of $459 in value. So pretty much it's all gain at this point. 80% return since they've been public.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's great, but to your point, if you're not investing more in it, then you might as well get rid of it. In total, between Gap, Nordstrom, Reynolds, and Master Brands, the market value is 1,882.56. Dividend income you'd potentially lose if you sold them all was $42.04. That's a dividend yield of 2.23%. And you'd report just a very small gain of 95.01 after all the offsetting gains and
Yeah,
losses.
95.01, pay $25 in gains, but I'm sure I'm in a net loss right now from the sales in my portfolio.
Mhm.
So I'm sure we would be just fine. Again, I always look for that. Hey, make it as minimal as possible. Now, I've got 5 stocks for options in my wife's portfolio to roll that into, and I'm curious. I'm just going to list them out here. Curious what you think, and I may just do a combination as well for my wife. This could happen over the next few weeks, guys. But the first stock is Pepsi, the dividend king. PE is about 20, payout ratio 66%. She owns the stock as well as I do. 6.5% dividend growth rate with a 3.3% yield. For what's that second stock option?
Ooh, Wendy's, the Baconator, ticker symbol WEN. Price to earnings 8.33. Payout ratio is 100%. Dividend growth rate's 31.26% and a yield of 5.46%. You own them at least, and they're in that portfolio, so you'd be adding to
Yeah,
a position that's already there. This wouldn't be a new position of Wendy's.
would not be a new position, but that payout ratio being a clean 100 scares the Jesus out
Yeah.
of me
Well,
now.
maybe that new dynamic pricing that they tried launching and then immediately rolled
Right.
back might maybe it's dynamic pricing in the stock too.
Here's an interesting one, though. A dividend aristocrat, Medtronic,
Oh,
MDT,
love it.
16 PE, 53% payout ratio, 7% growth rate with a 3.3% yield.
Love it. I mean, scooped up a ton for my wife last year in her portfolio. So I love it. It's in the low 80s. That's a great spot to buy Medtronic. If it comes down more, it's definitely going to be one of my top stock picks of the week.
What's the next one? What's number four?
Oh, number four, Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KOPs 21, payout 69%, dividend growth rate's 3.51% with a yield of 3.24%, but it's just a fantastic.
Buffett stock there, guys. And then the last one, BRT Apartments Corp, ticker symbol BRT. We're heading into the REIT space. She doesn't have too much of REITs in her portfolio, so it's like under 11 price to FFO ratio. Payout ratio is only 66% right now for this REIT, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
4.5% growth rate right now overall for BRT with the 6+% dividend yield, guys. So not making any immediate decisions yet because I want to have the buys ready when I sell. But these are kind of like some of the 5 stocks I'm thinking of. Obviously, VYM is always an option as well because that's in the 3% plus yield.
Boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Boring. I'm kidding. I'm
But
kidding.
let me know what you guys would do selling $1,882 off from 4 stocks and looking at the 5 on my list. Which ones do you like? Let me know below.
Yeah, from my perspective, there's nothing better than cleaning up your portfolio, especially these small positions. It took me a while, and once I hit the sell button, it felt fan freaking tastic. I barely even remember what stock I put the money into. So I know you already have these 5. Whatever you pick, you're going to be happier. You don't have to monitor the other 4.
Exactly, guys. Remember, it's all about being consistent, being mentally ready as well, because you might end up buying too many stocks. This is a good time to relook at it, rebalance the deck here. Buy passive income building stocks. That's the goal of Bert's portfolio, the goal of our portfolio as well. So guys, appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to this channel. Bert, what else do I have to say here?
You're either with us or you're against us, Jack.
Oh, that was Bert and Lanny from the DD. Over and out.